Prof? You want to get a game of Commander?
First of all, yes, but second, how did you get in my office, Emma?
The front door was left open. I just thought it was okay for me to come in.
It was locked with an alarm system.
Oh, yeah, that 6-digit passcode? Okay, yeah, might as well have been unlocked. First of all, a real passcode would be something like beating my Chulane deck.
Chulane? That's a brawl deck. Brawl.
Okay, so first of all, I was on the team that designed that brawl deck, so, we'll start there. And second, if you think this is just a brawl deck, come play against my Chulane Commander deck. I promise you'll get at least one turn.
You're on.
So, Forest, and then I'll tap it for Birds of Paradise. Your go.
Rakdos Guildgate. Pass the turn.
Draw. Ancient Tomb. Mox Diamond. Discard Hallowed Fountain. I will then lose 2 life and cast Chulane, Teller of Tales. Then I'm going to cast a Hangerback Walker for 0. Trigger, I get to draw a card and put a land into play. So I'm going to draw and put a Horizon Canopy onto the battlefield. Hangerback Walker dies. Then I'm going to tap 1 for a Heritage Druid, which allows me to draw a card and put a land onto the battlefield. So I'll draw and put a Gaia's Cradle onto the battlefield. Then let Heritage Druid resolve. Then I'm going to tap for 3 green and cast a Wirewood Symbiote, which allows me to draw a card and put a land from my hand onto the battlefield. I'm going to bounce Heritage Druid with Wirewood Symbiote in order to untap my Birds of Paradise, use one of my other floating green to cast Heritage Druid, and then draw a card. And then I'm just going to put whatever land this is onto the battlefield. And then I'm going to tap it and put a Courier and Ranger onto the battlefield, which allows me to draw a card. Then I'm going to cast this thing here, which allows me to draw a card. It's an Eternal Witness, which will put this card back in my hand. And then I'm going to cast a Glimpse of Nature. So every time I cast a creature spell now, I'm going to be drawing 2 cards. Then I'm going to tap my Birds of Paradise and cast another 1-drop creature, which will draw me a card from Glimpse of Nature. And then I'm going to draw a card off of Chulane's ability. And then I'm going to put this land onto the battlefield. And then I'm going to tap this land for another elf, which lets me draw a card. And then that's going to let me just cast Craterhoof Behemoth over and over and over. And you're dead. We good?
I think I'd like to play against the Brawl version that you made.
Oh yeah, sure, we can play Brawl. But it's not Wednesday.
Ugh, fine.
Cool. Let's play. Chulane Cheerios is a deck that wants to abuse Chulane's triggered ability as much as possible, which means casting as many creature spells as you can. Chulane puts lands into play untapped, the deck is chock full of 0-mana creatures that net you mana, and with a little help from any of the loops in the deck, you'll draw your entire deck, generate infinite mana, and win however you want, whether it's casting and recasting Craterhoof, a giant walking ballista, or whatever you want for flavorful fun. Let's take a look. The actual Chulane combo is casting a ton of cheap creatures for the sake of drawing cards and generating mana. In order to get there, the deck also has an Elf Ball sub-theme. This way, it's easy to crank out an early copy of Chulane and win as early as the second turn. There's a ton of mana acceleration in the deck, which allows for a turn 2 Chulane. Because there are 0-mana creatures in the deck, you can then begin casting creatures that draw cards and put lands onto the battlefield. Eventually, those creatures begin to draw even more cards because of Glimpse in Nature or Bet Call. Finally, once you've drawn Cloudstone Curio, there are a few pairs of creatures that can bounce one another and, with the help of Chulane, draw your entire deck, put all your lands onto the battlefield, and win. If you end up drawing a few too many cards while comboing off, you even have Thassa's Oracle to wrap the game up.
Even outside of the dream hand, it's very easy to crank out a copy of Chulane on the third turn. Against decks with counterspells, there are measures that help you play through the opponent trying to interact, like Dozen the Fallen Leaf, Sylvan Safekeeper, and Teferi Time Raveler. The green creatures that insulate your deck from interaction are particularly valuable because they can be found with Green Sun Zenith, Eladamri's Call, and Finale of Devastation. If Cloudstone Curio is permanently dealt with by way of exile, Intruder Alarm makes it possible to cast and recast the same creature over and over by using Chulane's activated ability in conjunction with all of the mana creatures in the deck to generate infinite enters the battlefield effects. The high density of mana creatures in the deck is specifically to make sure that the gas keeps coming when the cards start flowing. Chulane is the name of the game, so getting him out ahead of schedule is a high priority. The 1-drop mana creatures end up feeling like free spells when they're putting lands onto the battlefield as a cast trigger. Then, if there's a way to give them a form of haste, either through Concordant Crossroads, Lightning Greaves, or Heritage Druid, it's easy to visualize how things get out of hand in a hurry. These are the actual kill conditions in the deck. Craterhoof Behemoth doesn't need much in the way of explanations, but Walking Ballista and Thassa's Oracle do a bit more. Walking Ballista serves as a way to get the party started. When you cast it for 0, it'll be dead on arrival, but it generates a free growth spiral with a Chulane on the battlefield. Thassa's Oracle, simply acting as a card that effectively scries 2, or more, is going to help while mid-combo, without feeling like you're wasting the kill condition built into its ability. This is because Chulane and Cloudstone Curio both guarantee that its ability can be used later, once you've already accomplished everything the deck needs to do in order to draw its entire library. What's a spiky combo deck without tutors? The host of cards that start with Search Your Library is going to give the deck an additional layer of consistency that it would otherwise lack. The package of creatures that can be grabbed by Green Sun Zenith serves as a way for the deck with an incredibly high creature density to still hold its own when other people are trying to interact. Reclamation Sage is the cheapest way to deal with pesky enchantments, Dozen with counterspells, Sylvan Safekeeper with removal, and Eternal Witness serves as the perfect rebuying catch-all she's always been. These are the Chulane-specific enchantments that put the deck into overdrive. Allurin makes all of the creatures you'd have to invest mana into free. When you combine that with Chulane's triggered ability, that means they're all generating mana and drawing cards. Abundance with Chulane is a particularly potent combo piece because it helps ensure that you're never drawing the wrong type of card. Chulane needing a creature to trigger its ability, but wanting a land to put on the battlefield is a unique squeeze that Abundance does a great job of mitigating. The only mana rocks that I've included in the deck are ones that are going to generate mana that turn their cast. Even if cards like Coalition Relic might be powerful, they aren't going to be doing very much mid-combo. And for a deck that needs to draw a bunch of pieces in a single turn, you have to minimize the number of bricks you can find off the top of your library. The package of spell lands in this deck is fairly limited, despite it playing Crop Rotation and Elvish Reclaimer. This is because you really need your lands to enter the battlefield untapped, and be able to cast any of the creatures that you draw while you're comboing. That being said, having access to effects as powerful as Strip Mine is just too good to pass up. Horizon Canopy and Waterlogged Grove in particular are wonderful because they're both able to cast early mana creatures and then cycle into another card mid-combo. There's a small subset of creatures that are innocuous at first glance, but end up giving the deck a ton of staying power. Scrib Ranger and Quirion Ranger both give the deck more lands in their hand to put back onto the battlefield, and give the deck the ability to untap and make use of their spent mana creatures, or Chulane in a pinch. Wirewood Symbiote has play with cards like Elvish Visionary to draw additional cards later on, or just create additional triggers with all of the 1-mana elves in the deck. If you're looking at picking up and trying out this deck for the first time, here are a few tricks that might be missed the first time around. Cloudstone Curio is obviously one of the most important cards in the deck, but it can do a couple of things that really kick it into high gear that are important. Firstly, Dryad Arbor is a way that a fetch land can grab a creature, which will give you the chance to return a creature from the battlefield to your hand. This serves as a way to turn a fetch land into a castable creature in hand in a pinch. Further, fetch lands are particularly powerful when combined with Gaia's Cradle, because they give so many opportunities to return the Gaia's Cradle to hand. You know, for Chulane to immediately redeploy. There are several ways to create an infinite draw your deck loop with Chulane and a couple of other cards, and some are less obvious than others. As long as you have a total of 4 creatures and 5 lands, Chulane, Peregrine Drake, and Gaia's Cradle allows you to do everything. Chulane's own bounce ability is surprisingly relevant in the deck and should be utilized when possible. This is the easiest loop of all. Shrieking Drake is cast for free, which generates a Chulane trigger. Then, when Drake enters the battlefield, it bounces itself. Rinse and repeat until you fall into your favorite way to win. There are a few creatures that force you to bounce permanents when they enter the battlefield, and all of them work for this loop. Chulane, Heritage Druid, 2 more 1-drop elves, and Cloudstone Curio is a little convoluted, but allows you to establish a draw your entire deck and put all the lands into play loop. First, you want to have some sort of way to place a Cloudstone Curio trigger on the stack. Then, you respond and float 3 mana with Heritage Druid by tapping the 3 elves. Return the Heritage Druid to a hand with the Cloudstone Curio trigger. Then, cast Heritage Druid, leaving 2 green mana in your pool. When it enters the battlefield, bounce the second elf that was tapped. Recast the second elf, bouncing the third. Finally, recast the third. This puts you in the same spot that you started, but you've triggered Chulane 3 times and had the opportunity to put up to 3 lands onto the battlefield. Most of the loops in Chulane aren't as straightforward as something like Basalt Monolith plus Power Artifact, but the cards they require are generically powerful enough in the Chulane shell that it doesn't feel like they need as many cards as they utilize. I hope very much that this video has been of some help to you. I'm Emma Handy, and if you'd like to see more of my work, make sure and check out my articles on StarCityGames.com, my commentary on the SCG Tour, and my podcast, The Playset. You can find out more information on my social media presence in the description.
Sadly, the Slippery Bogle isn't legal in Pioneer, but its long-lost twin of Gladecover Scout is. This creature is in all the best opening hands we can hope for. A simple, untargetable 1/1 that we can suit up with all sorts of powerful auras. We also get to play Basara Tower Archer, where for 2 green we get a 2/1 hexproof body with the added